Welcome back to 83, episode 83, and I'm basically outlining the Gilmore legacy over into the 20th century. And it should be noted that in that last memorial, which was featured last week, it is to be sincerely regretted that the memorial to Gilmore may not be erected by popular subscription because of the objections of his family. From the promptness with which the Herald had received, etc., it was obvious that it was going to succeed. However, the family did not wish it to go ahead. The sorrow of his family is now too deep to consider that anything can add to the duration of regret, the diffidence of display under such circumstances, etc. You can read that yourself. 1906, same year as the memorial, included the selling off of the S Gilmore Band Library Publishing Company in St. Louis, Missouri. And this was reputed to be the largest archive of music in America at the time. There are a number of leads in regards where it actually went. But what's amazing about it is there's been actually virtually nothing written about it. In 1891, Gilmore had himself produced this international band book to encourage bands to be formed throughout America, etc., etc. In 1909, the J.W. Pepper and Sons produced the student band book, as you saw there. Gilmore wasn't forgotten. Kellogg's Cornflakes used it in their advertisements at the time, and various other companies did likewise. The International Musical Festival took place in Boston to celebrate the World Peace Jubilee. And again, this was done to raise money for the returning soldiers, as it says here, and sailors for a job-finding fund. Again, Gilmore was being used quite properly to benefit the military and to benefit America. He would have been delighted with this. What was patently obvious was that unfortunately America, other than these times, didn't seem to want to remember Gilmore in, I suppose, a more real fashion. Here in 1929, the Peace Jubilee Musical Festival was held in Boston by the National Federation of Music Clubs, celebrating, obviously, the National Peace Jubilee in 1869. And again, this was being done to raise money for the soldiers and people who were fighting and protecting America and the country. Gilmore, again, in 1930, for advertising needs, when they were trying to promote Manhattan and the Oriental Beach Bats, and Rudy Valley and Paul Whitman and so on and so forth, over on the right-hand side, you see those gentlemen featured. And of course, quite within 10 years, Manhattan Beach goes. And we see just the mention of Manhattan Beach and Oriental Beach. And this is for new lots that are going to be created there and built upon. And just a mere few years before, and this is from 1880 or 1890, you get Manhattan Hotel on the left and the Baths in the center, and Oriental Hotel, the more luxurious one, on the right. And behind there is the fireworks enclosure, not so long ago. In 1942, in the middle of the war, the Boston Symphony played a series of 4 concerts in Symphony Hall. And the particular concerts featured the story of Mr. Strauss Goes to Boston. And this was a completely new story, not heavily publicized. And it basically told the story of Johann Strauss coming to Boston in 1872 at the invitation of Gilmore. Of course, Gilmore was not mentioned. Later on during the war, Glenn Miller had a number one with When Johnny Comes Marching Home Again, hurrah, hurrah. And I can still hear that jive there. And now we move to Maestro Arthur Fiedler, a Bostonian, and a man who, it would seem, and I cannot check this further at the moment, would have known quite a bit about Gilmore. And his famous Esplanade concerts in 1947, the 19th season, featured Gilmore and the World Peace Jubilee. He seemed to be in the process of learning quite a bit about the Peace Jubilee and so on, particularly the World Peace Jubilee. And on Wednesday, July the 2nd, 1947, here we have some of the pieces that featured in that performance, including Irish pieces. Mr. Fiedler invites the audience to join in the clapping and so on and so forth. And down at the very bottom it says Patrick Sarsfield Gilmore, born Ballygar, Dublin, Ireland, etc. The detail doesn't matter. The fact that he actually remembered and honoured Gilmore with this performance was immense. 1950, Irish Orpheus was published by a librarian called Marwood Darlington. A wonderful little book. It's got some imperfections in it, but it was the best one that was ever produced as far as I was concerned. And back to Maestro Fiedler. Maestro Fiedler conducted the Boston Pops here. And in the mid-50s, 1950s, Mr. Strauss Goes to Boston is released by the Boston Pops Orchestra, Arthur Fiedler conductor. Here's the Coliseum with the famous lithograph in front and so on, and Strauss. And here is my version of that with some extra pieces of ephemera attached from my collection. And it's a wonderful tribute to Gilmore that Fiedler produced this and made sure that it would be remembered forever. And this was re-released later on in the UK. Again, very much the same record, and I believe is promoted by the Strauss Society of Great Britain. Mr. Strauss Comes to Boston by Lloyd Morris, author of The Incredible New York. And here we have side one and side two. Sorry, side two first. Boutique Quadrille down to the Jubilee Waltz at the very bottom. With and these are basically pieces that were played by Strauss in Boston on his only visit to America. Again, side one. And now obviously finishing on the beautiful Blue Danube. It's a wonderful record. I have tried to find it on CD and I can't seem to locate it at this moment in time. Later, 2 years later, The Music Man, 76 trombones, and basically in the beginning, and we know there was Gilmore followed by the rest. And this really brought the whole story back to life again. And in 1966, I call him my predecessor, Michael Cummins of Milton, Massachusetts, found the name of P.S. Gilmore in a library in Boston somewhere, started doing some work on the story, did a heck of a lot of work. It was he who arranged for the plaque to be raised in Ballygar. And that day, which I attended in 1969, for this plaque to be unveiled. And he did immense work on the story of Gilmore, much to the cynicism of many people. Did this man even exist, etc., etc.? And another group, led by some guys here on the left, led by Jerry Regan, dressed in Union uniform, came home to Ballygar and brought some presentations to Ballygar about Gilmore. And they were immense in their support of both Cummins and Gilmore. They arranged for a City of New York proclamation in 1992 to honour Patrick Gilmore in New York. And that was a wonderful, wonderful occasion. They also, along with another few groups, arranged at last for the erection of the headstone in Woodfield Old Cavalry Cemetery in Brooklyn, in Queens, in Queens, to be erected. And without them, this wouldn't be standing. So, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes today's documentary. We'll be back next week with some more, and I thank you for your time. Click like and subscribe. Bye.